Welcome back everybody, my name's Nick930 and this is my final review for the recently released Zombie Army 4 Dead War. Zombie Army 4 is the latest in a series of cooperative third-person zombie shooter games, created by Rebellion as a less serious spin-off to the Sniper Elite series. While it certainly doesn't change up the formula too much, Zombie Army 4 does introduce quite a few changes to the zombie killing action, including reworked controls, an increase in enemy and location variety, and a revamp of the progression system, aimed to keep players engaged for longer. So, let's first start by talking about the game's narrative. For those unfamiliar with the series, Zombie Army takes place in an alternate version of World War II, where the Nazis raised the dead out of desperation and plunged the world into an apocalypse. Throughout the course of the original 3 games, players need to travel across Europe, killing swarms of undead monsters in an attempt to put a stop to the zombified Hitler and save the world. It's a silly premise, and Rebellion fully embraces it with its latest game, with chapter artwork highly reminiscent of old movie posters, zombie sharks, and even fun Easter eggs like the PS4's controller speaker playing a creepy message when the game is paused for long enough. Players once again assume the role of various characters from the series, each with a handful of one-liners that they'll shout out under certain circumstances.
Maybe I am a killing machine after all.
Though their lines can be a bit repetitive, and it would have benefited the game to record a few more just to mix it up. The game's 9 missions bring players to some interesting locations throughout Italy and the surrounding area, including Milan, Venice, and even Rome, likely as a way to recycle some of the assets built for the Italian-focused Sniper Elite 4. But the darker atmosphere and unique level layouts help to set it far enough apart that it never feels recycled in any way. I can't say much about the actual plot without spoiling it for those interested in the storyline, but for fans of the series, it is consistent with what you'd expect. The gameplay is what truly matters here though, and Zombie Army 4 delivers what I feel is the strongest entry in the series yet. Using the refined movement and controls introduced with the most recent Sniper Elite games, Zombie Army 4 feels like a more polished experience. Shots seem to land on targets more consistently, and aiming, especially with secondary weapons like the shotgun and Thompson, feels much easier to control. The level environments are also much more interesting this time around. Taking a barge down the canals of Venice and fighting off hordes of the undead in a zoo habitat helped to shake up the monotony of mowing down zombies for 7 hours straight, and the new traps like the undead shark prop helped to add an interesting new dynamic to the gameplay. One of the most enjoyable aspects of the game, though, is trying to maintain lengthy kill combos, a staple of the series that is much easier to keep track of now thanks to a large combo counter that changes color depending on the value of the streak. These are hugely important, as high combos can reward you with additional points and rewards upon completing mission chapters, that enable the player to unlock new upgrades for their weapons and gear. This is one of the most unique features of Zombie Army 4. While players could customize their classes before, this new system allows them to improve individual weapons with new attachments and buffs, including faster reload, higher damage output, and even special abilities like explosive rounds and shock rounds, that are activated after a cooldown. Each weapon features an upgrade tree, with each enhancement requiring an upgrade kit, and a prerequisite of obtaining a specific player rank, enticing players to progress further in the game in order to unlock the full potential of their favorite guns. Players can also customize other aspects of their character, including their melee weapon, each offering their own special benefit like rewarding the player with a small amount of health, and player perks that can be upgraded further by completing perk-specific challenges. It's a significantly more robust system, though it does seem to come at a cost. Zombie Army 4 features far fewer weapons to choose from, with only 4 rifles as opposed to the 9 offered previously. This is a strange omission, considering the franchise's heavy sniper roots, though this is likely because the secondary weapons are much more effective than they were previously. I think I would have been fine with this more focused arsenal of weapons if the upgrade path didn't take so long to take advantage of. The game really wants you to continuously replay missions with your friends, and even encourages it with things like a weekly challenge mission that modifies the gameplay slightly. But the game's linear nature and overly scripted design really makes replay less likely. This is a shame too, because the weapon upgrades are definitely fun to earn, but simply take too long to acquire, forcing you to stick with a single loadout throughout the course of your experience. What's even more disappointing is that the game is already strongly pushing its microtransactions. I never necessarily felt that I was underpowered or needed any of these paid weapons, but at least offering a method for unlocking it through an in-game accomplishment would have made this more forgivable. And then of course, we need to talk about the enemy types. Zombie Army Trilogy offered a decent amount of enemy variety, but not even close to what's on offer in this game. While many of the classics like the suicide zombies, the snipers, and elites return in one way or another, there's also the new creepers, the flame troopers, and even zombie tanks and half-tracks, though the latter aren't quite as interesting to face off against, and seem to only hurt the pacing rather than add to the experience. I was also disappointed to find that the zombie shark used to advertise the game and even offered as a collector's edition item is limited to just cutscenes and being used as a static trap object. It seems like a huge missed opportunity to not feature a zombie shark boss fight, along with other campy style bosses in the same spectrum. When I booted up the zoo campaign, for example, I was expecting some zombie polar bears and lions to jump out, but sadly it was just more of the same, with a few new human zombie types being introduced along the way. So overall, from a gameplay standpoint, Zombie Army 4 is certainly an improvement over its predecessors, with much cleaner controls, more interesting progression systems, and some great level designs. But it does fall short of delivering the type of experience you'd expect from the fourth attempt. Now from a visual standpoint, Zombie Army 4 does make a few nice improvements. Lighting is more dynamic, environments are beautifully detailed, and the zombie gore system is the best it's ever been. I especially love how each weapon seems to deal an appropriate amount of damage to the undead horde. And it was especially satisfying watching large groups of zombies explode into pieces after setting up an explosive trap. But just like the Sniper Elite series, the game still comes off feeling like a small indie title, with stiff character animations and a limited scope. I'll be sure to expand upon the visual improvements more with a planned direct comparison later this week, as there are quite a few interesting changes that have been made both visually and from a gameplay perspective. But overall, Zombie Army 4 Dead War is a really fun experience in a reasonably priced package. It doesn't try and reinvent the wheel or anything, so if you've played the other games in the series, this one really doesn't feel all that different on the surface. But the revamped progression system, smoother control scheme, and great level variety make it one of the most interesting entries to the series yet, even if there are a few needless microtransactions thrown in. But what do you guys think? Are you interested in Zombie Army 4? Let me know in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos posted every week.